Welcome everybody. Welcome back. If this is not your first time coming across my channel, this is the Stage 1 Lap It Up Bag to Badge race. Cat C. I'm in the Cat C category. So I am excited about this. This is my third Lap It Up race. First time on this stage. Last time I did the London Greater Flats twice, which was my first introduction to categorized racing. My first true introduction. I've done a couple other races that were essentially open category, so anybody can race. I did my best to keep up. And that's the goal today. Do my best to keep up with the 300-meter climb. I don't know. I'm hoping that's at the end of the lap, because at least then I feel like I'll have a chance.
So I want to jump in here and say that I completely misread the stage profile. And just looking at it, it was nothing like what I expected. A lot hillier more often. The stage was set up as one lap, but we looped around this one area what felt like a dozen times. And so you'll see in the video that me not understanding the stage profile cost me a lot of energy up front and definitely made me work harder on the back half of the stage. So it's right around this point that I'm still feeling good, still rolling along, but I'm starting to realize that the amount of climbing that we're going to do is not isolated to the end of the race. And it seems like we're going to be doing more climbing throughout the stage. And a little bit of panic starts to set in. I start realizing like, oh, I gotta put out some more effort, more than I anticipated early on. But still feeling good, legs still feel good. And as we take this turn is when it really like hit me. I was like, ooh, this okay, we're climbing again. And I looked at the meters that we've climbed so far, and I'm like, okay, so I thought we were gonna do like 300 meters close to the end of the race, but in actuality it looks like we're it's not going to be 300 meters at the end of the stage. And so yeah, just taking it, taking the hits as they come, but still doing my best to keep on this group and put the required power down to keep on this group. So one of the things that I have to work on is generally when I come over a climb, I have a tendency to ease off at the top of the climb. I'm getting better at holding it at the top of the climb, but I have a tendency to ease off, and then I'll kind of let the legs rest for a few seconds and then get back on it. Well, in this case, I started noticing that as I was easing back off the pedals, the group in front of me was starting to take off. So I made that leap to bridge that gap successfully, but I started feeling the pain. I started recognizing like, okay, this is getting a little bit harder than I anticipated putting into, harder effort than I anticipated I would be putting in at this point. And so as this front groups continued to, push ahead and push ahead, I did my best to continue to um, bridge these gaps along with the other people that are with me, so that way that big bunch in the front didn't break apart too much. Um, but as you can see from my face here, it hurt. My legs were hurting. And what felt like 100 hours, I looked up to notice it was only like 6 minutes in, and I knew at that point I was going to be hurting. Um, so panic set in a little bit, but just kept going and did my best to keep on this front group. So I'll comment on it here, even though my initial thought about this came later in this race. I was thinking, like, man, I wonder how many people ride these races without the trainer difficulty turned on, or turned on all the way, because that slinking effect that I'm noticing when I climb. So obviously, I get on the pedals when I climb at 95 kilograms. I can put down a lot of weight onto the pedals and produce a lot of initial power, and then I'll hold it a little bit longer than I used to, for sure. And so what ends up happening is I end up almost like looking like I'm, making a break for it to the front of the group, even though that's not the intention. And after doing this, what felt like a dozen times, because I feel like for this being one lap, we went around the same loop a lot of times. And so I was thinking, like, man, I wonder how many people have trainer difficulty turned off, because I feel like I'm the only one that is getting this inconsistent pace where I'm speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, up and over these undulating hills. And so as you saw there a second ago, at that point, my thighs were on fire. Like, I needed to pause for a second, coast, and then get back on it. And this is where it became a mental game for me, where I had to really focus on strengthening my thoughts and focus on the rider in front of me, and doing my best to keep up or pace myself in the groups that I was in. As you'll see, I'll start to little by little fall behind. Even though I stay with this group for a while, we kind of end up bundling together, and we stay this way for a while. But it's at this point that I'm like, okay, I need to rethink my strategy here. This isn't just a matter of me not producing the power anymore. It's a matter of finishing the race and making sure that I finish the race. And so the last thought that I'm going to throw in here, at this moment at least, is that beautiful moon. I didn't notice it while I was racing. I'm noticing it now as I'm watching the replay. But that moon is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love the night sky that Zwift has produced in-game. Outside of cycling, my other hobby is astrophotography. So I take pictures of the moon, of the sun, of other constellations, nebulas, things like that. So seeing a realistic night sky in game for me is absolutely mesmerizing, and I do appreciate the game designers for doing that. So I said that because the guys that I'm with right there, I was behind them for a little bit, and I kept noticing that I kept pulling ahead, and then they would want to pull ahead, and I kept pulling ahead, and they weren't going as fast as I wanted to go, because I truly did want to catch up to the group in front of us, even though I knew it was going to be a bigger effort to bridge that gap. So I was just like, you know what, let me put the mass down on my pedals. and do my best to basically be, you know, be the pace setter for this little group and let them draft off of me as long as I can. There's an excellent video by Zwift Insider where he talks about, the size of a person in game can affect your drafting. So me being 95 kilograms, I'm the best windbreaker for these guys, unless there's someone bigger than me in that group. But in my mind, I was the biggest person, so I'm the best person to let them draft off of, and let them rest their legs a bit, and then in these flat parts where I struggle more, because I have a tendency my power tends to drop on the flats. And so I'm not able to consistently hold the higher, 250, 280 watt, to keep up with them on the flats. So I, will draft off of them on the flats, and then on these hills, I will, punch up the hills to let them draft off of me, and then hold that as long as I can, so they can get their time in the draft as well. So just to give you an idea of how much pain I was in at this moment, I didn't even realize that there was this whole massive group that kind of, I don't know if they caught up to me because we were looping around the same roadway, but when this blob of people just swarmed by me, I was like, whoa, like, did our group get that big, or what happened? And so my thought is they probably lapped me, because of how I was going at this point, kind of going backwards. So as we were coming down this hill, I was looking at the terrain map, and I'm seeing what looks like it's going to be a big hill coming up. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, you know what? If this is it, we're almost at the end. This is the last, significant climb. I'm just going to push it and push to the max. And sure enough, that's what I did. I did my best to continue going. And this is where I give my bike and wheels props, because I definitely am not that strong of a climber, in spite of what you're seeing in the wattage that I'm putting out. That bike and those wheels are fast. They definitely help going uphill. It's the Felt AR bike and the DT Swiss 40 millimeter wheels. They are fantastic, especially if we're going uphill. So they help me keep my momentum going. And the only thing I was thinking about at this point is that group that I just left behind. I am not going to see them again. I'm not going to let them catch up. I'm not going to let them beat me. And I'm just going to continue pushing it. So just the last little thought here. So the things that I pay attention to when I'm climbing is first thing is if there's anybody ahead of me, I focus on them so that way I can visualize catching up to them. That obviously helps me stay focused and kind of overcome whatever pain or whatever breathing pains that I'm getting at the time. The other thing I'm also looking at is the terrain profile. So in this case, it's showing 6%, and I'm looking at how long that 6% looks. If I'm going to be going for a lot longer, then I start thinking about, okay, can I back it down? Can I drop a gear so that way I can, keep going for the long haul, or do I just keep pushing harder if I'm near the top of the climb? And then the last thing I look at is the rider names below me that are at the bottom of the screen there, to see if anyone's catching up, as well as the time interval between me and them on the right hand side. And I'm looking to see, okay, is there anyone catching up? Is there anyone going to pass me? Like this person right here passed me, and it hurt my heart because I was like, man, I'm doing so good. I'm holding them off, and then this person passes me. I was like, all right, you know what? They're obviously, they pushed hard too, and I made them work for it because I created enough of a gap, and hopefully I can keep on them, keep after this person, keep behind them, and ultimately, the goal at that point is, can I pass them? Can I overtake them at the top? Can I overtake them in the finish? And so there you go. I didn't overtake him, but I also wasn't paying attention to what the end of the actual stage was, where it was, until I started noticing the banner was getting closer. I was like, oh, it's a lot closer than I thought. But I was happy with where I ended. I obviously felt like I could have done better, but I was happy where I ended. I finished the stage. I put out, especially for that last climb, which is really what I was looking forward to the most in this stage, was having one big climb that I can just really test my legs, test my effort, and I feel like I did good. So there you go. Wanted to share. Appreciate you guys. If you like what I'm doing, if you like where I'm headed with this channel, make sure you do all that good YouTube stuff. Take care.